Hello guys, welcome to another instructional video with Zakari. Today I'm going to be changing the glove compartment handle which has broken on this particular vehicle, which is a Kia Exeo. The procedure will be the same for the Audi A4 as well. If you're familiar with the cockpit, they're pretty much identical. So what's happened here is it's not opening because, as you can see, that's broken. Seems to be quite a common problem with these particular vehicles, the Audi A4s and the Kia Exeos. So the first thing we're going to do is gain access to the glove box, and what I'm going to do that is this plastic panel here, I'm going to pry that away. Seems like you can actually do it with your hands. However, I'm going to use a piece of plastic in the edge to get that out. One of the first things that you want to do, guys, is push the seat back as much as you can, just so you've got enough access and enough space there. It would possibly be a good idea to put a sheet under the glove compartment. This is actually a tinting tool that I'm going to be using. That's come away. Next step is, if you look inside, in there is where the catch is for the glove box. So when you close the glove box, that's actually the catch that goes into the levers on the sides there to keep it closed. So all you have to do is push that in and it pops open. Now, whoever's had this vehicle, it is a new purchase. Use sellotape here. I believe that possibly the logic behind that would have been to keep these levers in so they don't actually hook in, and it doesn't actually close, so they can actually just put it up there. However, it might have worked initially, and obviously after some time that stopped working, so it's actually locked itself rather than staying in the open position. So what we're going to do now is we're going to replace that part so we can use this properly. That's how you gain access to the glove box if your lever's broken. Now, to get the handle off, it's quite a simple process, which is, if you just look over there, there's actually a Torx bit there. However, as that's in the way, you need to get a small angle. So for those of you who actually need to remove the entire glove box, the procedure would be 5 bolts, and those 5 bolts are one there, size 8 bolt, another one in the center, far right, third one, fourth one, and a fifth one there, which seems to be missing on this particular vehicle. However, we should not hopefully need to remove the entire glove box. I've managed to get this in there to unscrew that Torx piece, that Torx screw, without having to remove the entire glove box. Now that we've got that out, I'm going to pop that down somewhere safe. And we've popped it out. So what's happened here clearly is that plastic that is there, in there, has snapped. So what we have, or what I've purchased, is a replacement part from a salvage breaker on eBay, and that's the part that was actually broken. So this part's been purchased from a salvage breaker on eBay for £28. It is used, but it seems to be in relatively good condition.
You can get new ones from the dealers, which are quite expensive. Some breakers will, however, try to sell you the entire glove box, which is understandable, because once the handle has been sold separately, the glove box is rendered useless to them, and they want to maximize profits in terms of the parts that they are selling. So another thing you would have to do is, obviously this has got a lock on it. These particular handles are locked handles, so you do have the option of locking them. This one would obviously be from the vehicle which it was taken from. We would also have to then swap over the locks, which is a relatively simple process, which I will speak through. There's latches in there that are holding that lock in place. You sort of use a small straight screwdriver to undo those latches. You press down from here and you feed it out from the front, and then obviously same procedure in reverse to put the lock, change the lock into the new one, and obviously remove the old or the replacement parts lock from the replacement part. So what we're going to do now is give that a quick clean, and remove the lock before we replace the part. So it's a little bit tricky over here. What I've had to do is those plastic tabs that are in there, I've actually had to keep them, so there's 3 of them all the way around. I'm having to keep 2 of them in an open position, and that one there, that third one you can see there that's remaining, right there. I'm going to put a small screw piece through there, a screw bit, release that, and hopefully what that will do is that will allow that lock from the top to push out through the front. You just got to make note, obviously, of what position that locks in. You've got some of that small tab sticking out the front, and that's at the top. So you got to make sure that you obviously put it in the same position. But I will guide you through that in a second once I've got that out and I'm changing it over. So we've got the lock out. You got to be quite careful when you're taking this out. As you can see, it's got these spring-loaded things on the side which actually keep the lock in place, as well as the tabs inside, and they've obviously got little springs, and as you can see they just pop out, so you got to be very careful. You will drop them and lose them. So that's the lock from the original broken handle, which I'm going to now be putting into the replacement part. As you can see, those levers there, I'm going to use a small screwdriver down the side to push those levers in, spring-loaded levers, as I push the lock down and inwards, so they should clip in place. There we go, guys. So you should hear a click. Obviously remember that tab there is at the top, so you should hear a click. We've got that in now. Sorry I couldn't show you exactly in detail. Obviously, as you can see, filming it at the same time as doing the job is quite difficult, and the tripod, keeping it in the right place, could be an idea. However, I think the instructions I've given hopefully should help you. So we've got that in place now. Yeah, so nicely clipped in place. It is very tricky. That's the most difficult part of it, because obviously if the springs come out from the levers, they will not spring in, and that won't hold it into place. You could probably lose one of the springs and the other ones might still work, but you just want to make sure when you do take this out, when you take the tabs out and you release the lock, you be as slow and careful as possible to keep it in place, and put it down somewhere where it's not going to drop or fall over, because if it falls over, the springs again will be lost. The levers come out, and then obviously the springs go with them. So the spring, if that does happen, you need to put the spring in through the side of the lock mechanism. You just put the spring in through the sides and then guide in the levers, the metal levers, into it as well. So we're just going to replace this now. Now I've got that in place, and we're just going to put the torque screw back in the side and tighten it out. So we've tightened that up now. Is it me or is that a shade darker? That part looks a shade darker. Right, so there we go. Opens up perfectly fine. It's a bit stiff on the hinge. Should just come down. That might need greasing. But yeah, as you can see, works perfectly fine now. Might be an idea of just greasing the hinge there slightly, just so it sort of self opens and just goes down a bit. Yeah, but that's done. So I hope this video has helped you guys. We're going to just pop this piece back on.
nice, straightforward, lines up, clicks into place, and there we go. That's another job done. So if you've liked that video, please do give me a thumbs up.